So public transit, etc., are closed down on that day. So pray that it won't be like that. But look at this. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Same words as found in Daniel chapter 12. Now, the great tribulation then starts with the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. That clearly starts in the middle of the 7-year period of time. You with me on this? Okay. So a lot of things that people talk about begin really happening in earnest at that point. Several things happened before, but boy, is that a key. That's when things really get wild. Great tribulation. None like it since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Jeremiah said that not only was this a difficult time, but even described it as the time of Jacob's trouble. Why do you suppose he described it as the time of Jacob's trouble? There's a very good reason. This persecution is really primarily focused upon a peculiar people, the Jewish people. It's because he wants to destroy the Jewish people that there's this abomination of desolation. Why does he want to destroy the Jewish people? He wants to destroy them because there's lots of promises for those people that the Messiah is going to deliver on when he comes back. He is going to sit on their throne. He's going to assume kingship over their country. And from there will rule the rest of the world. But he will go back and establish that kingship that has been gone for so many centuries in Israel. That's his plan. That's why in Acts chapter 1 they said, are you going to restore the kingdom now? Are you going to bring back what's been gone for centuries now? And are you going to then become that king that rules and reigns? That's what will happen. But until that happens, all these other things are going to happen first. Great tribulation. Devil trying to destroy the very people of promise. It says in verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the sake of those days shall be shortened or amputated. 3.5 years of great tribulation. Lots of people obviously dying. In fact, Zechariah tells us that out of all of this, only 1/3 of the Jewish population will survive. Isn't that incredibly terrible? But that's great tribulation. Hitler killed like 6 million Jews, we're told, and we have no reason to doubt that. But there are at least 15 million Jews in the world today. So the slaughter in that final 3.5-year period at the hand of Antichrist will exceed that of Adolf Hitler. Okay, so it's going to be a very terrible time. Unless that had been cut short, amputated, stopped before it ran full course, nobody would have survived, is what we're told here. Then, at that time, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall rise false Christs, false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I told you before. Apparently, as this great tribulation works its way out, and many people are dying, there's going to be bait. Come on out of hiding, come on out of hiding. The Messiah's finally come. He's here now, come on out. It'd be like trying to bait them to come forth to the slaughter. He says, I've told you before. Wherefore, if they say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. What in the world are we saying there? It will be incredibly, inescapably obvious when Jesus does come back So once the Great Tribulation runs its course, we're getting near to the very end. When Jesus finally comes, it will not be escapable to mistake what it is. The whole place will be lit up with his coming. So he's not secretly in the temple. He's not secretly in the desert. He's not hiding out over here. He's not hiding out over there. He's coming in the clouds of heaven. Every eye will see him, and there will be a colossal light show to demonstrate his coming. You won't miss it. You can't miss it. It won't happen. The next phrase, I believe, is a funny phrase, but I believe what it is an idiom. It says, "For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together." If I were to write this here in the 21st century, I'd probably say this: it will be as plain as the nose on your face. I believe that's what that phrase about the eagles and the carcass means. A lot of weird interpretations out there, but I think that's what it means. It'll be obvious, be evident, clear cut. Are you going to miss the second coming of Christ if you're alive at this time? Not a chance. Okay. Now, immediately after the tribulation of those days, what tribulation are we talking about? The Great Tribulation. How long will the Great Tribulation run? How much time is on the clock? 3.5 years. But we're told something interesting. It is cut short or amputated. So I take that to mean that it won't quite finish its intended or pretended course. It'll be cut short. I don't know how much it will be cut short by, but if it weren't stopped, no flesh would survive. So there will be a stoppage to it. And then he says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. What does that mean to you in the broadest sense? It's going to get very, very, what? Dark. Okay? You get all caught up in the symbolism of all this. You know what? Lights are out. That's what it's saying. Lights are out. Planet Earth is darkened. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Now, he's coming with a rather bright light show, right? The setup for it is the stage is darkened. And then when he arrives, wow, wow, a great and glorious light will appear in the heavens with the second coming of Christ. Now look what happens. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Hallelujah. Well, we're glad. They're not. Why? Why are they not glad? Well, you see, they've thrown in with the Antichrist, have they not? He's been promising them power, safety, peace. Get rid of the pesky Jews and we can have a peaceful earth, etc., etc., etc. But then this happens, and they are not on board with Christ. The book of Revelation, the Old Testament tells us that they try to hide themselves in the rocks. They try to hide themselves like bats in caves. Hide us from the face of him. But they can't. He's coming with the clouds of power from heaven itself. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. He gathers his people, it says. He gathers his people. What people are we talking about? When the Lord returns, he will send forth his angels, and he will gather his people from everywhere, it says, on planet Earth. Now, here's where many people get into controversy. There are a lot of people that say that Christ comes and takes out the church people before the 7-year period of time starts.